I am Sinbad, the wanderer of seas. Come, sail with me through the 7 voyages, told in the timeless spirit of Eastern tales.
Suddenly, a towering figure appeared. Black-skinned, human-like, but monstrous. His eyes blazed like fire, and his teeth resembled those of a wild boar. If anyone knows what a boar is, drop it in the comments. His mouth was wide like a whale's opening, his cheeks like a camel's, and his long ears hung down to his waist. His nails were like those of predators. Hello friends. Today I've come to share another tale from the legendary 1001 Nights. This time, it's the story of Sinbad the sailor's 3rd voyage. Have you seen the 1st and 2nd journeys yet? If not, go check them out, and if you enjoy them, don't forget to like and subscribe to my page, because I've got many more beautiful stories to tell you. Clapperboard now, let's dive into the 3rd voyage of Sinbad the sailor. Sinbad began his tale like this. After returning from my 2nd journey, I had amassed great wealth and spent my days in joy and celebration. Life was sweet, and I was content. But soon, memories of the profits I had made during my travels stirred my heart again. The desire for more gold and silver took hold of me. So I gathered fine goods and prepared for another sea voyage, from Baghdad to Basra, and from there to distant islands. At the seashore, I spotted a grand ship filled with noble and virtuous merchants. I boarded the vessel, and with the help of the Almighty, our journey began. We sailed from one sea to another, from island to island, trading wherever we went. Our days were filled with happiness and prosperity. But one day, amidst the roaring waves, the captain stood at the edge of the ship, gazing into the distance. Suddenly, he screamed, tore his clothes, and pulled at his beard. We rushed to him and asked, "Captain, what's wrong?" He cried, "O people of the ship! Know that the wind has turned against us and driven us off course. We've reached the island of the apes, and no one escapes this place alive. I fear we are all doomed." Before he could finish his words, swarms of apes, like ants and locusts, stormed the ship. We dared not fight them, for they were many and fierce. Their eyes were yellow, their faces dark, and their manes wild like lions. No one could understand their language or predict their actions. Each stood about 4 spans tall. They climbed the ship's ropes and chewed through them with their teeth. Once the ropes were destroyed, the wind carried the ship toward the mountain of the apes. The creatures seized all the merchants and dragged them onto the island. Then they boarded the ship themselves and sailed away with all our goods. We had no idea where they went or what became of the ship. Left stranded, we survived on the island's fruits and spring water. One day, deep in the island, we spotted a building. Approaching it, we found a grand palace with towering ebony doors, so many doors we couldn't count. We entered through one and saw massive cauldrons of food boiling over fires, and piles of bones nearby. Yet, the palace was eerily empty. Bewildered, we sat in the courtyard and eventually fell asleep. Near sunset, the ground began to tremble, and a loud sound echoed around us. Suddenly, a towering figure appeared. Black-skinned, human-like, but monstrous. His eyes blazed like fire, and his teeth resembled those of a wild boar. If anyone knows what a boar is, drop it in the comments. His mouth was wide like a whale's opening, his cheeks like a camel's, and his long ears hung down to his waist. His nails were like those of predators. When we saw him, we were so terrified we looked like corpses. He approached us, grabbed me by the hand, and lifted me off the ground. He examined me closely, just like a butcher sizing up a sheep before slaughter. Because of the pain, sorrow, and hardships I had endured, my body had wasted away. I was nothing but skin and bones. The creature looked at me, found me unappealing, and cast me aside. Then he grabbed one of my companions, examined him just the same, and rejected him too for being too thin. But then his eyes fell upon the captain of our ship, a large, heavy-set man. The creature seemed pleased. He threw the captain to the ground, skewered his neck like a butcher preparing meat, and held him over the fire until his flesh was cooked. He devoured the meat and tossed the bones aside. After his gruesome feast, he lay down in a corner and slept soundly until dawn. At first light, he rose and left the palace. Once he was gone, we gathered with the remaining merchants, weeping and lamenting our fate. We said, if only we had drowned in the sea, or been devoured by the apes, anything would have been better than this. To be roasted alive and eaten, this is the worst kind of death. We left the palace, searching desperately for a place to hide, but found none. As night fell, we had no choice but to return. We sat inside the palace once more, and again the ground trembled beneath us. The hideous black creature returned, just as he had the night before. He examined us one by one and chose the fattest among us. He repeated the same horrific ritual, and then slept until morning. Once again, we gathered and said, if we throw ourselves into the sea and drown, it would be better than being roasted alive. We must act. We must think. I told the others, there's no other way. We must devise a plan to destroy this creature. Let's gather wooden planks and build something like a ship. Once we're free of him, we'll sail away to safety. Perhaps a passing vessel will find us and rescue us. So we rose together, collected planks from the palace, and built a makeshift boat. We gathered provisions and supplies, loaded them aboard, and returned to the palace. That night, the earth trembled once more. The black creature returned, and the nightmare repeated itself. After he had eaten and fallen asleep in the corner, we took 2 iron skewers and held them in the fire until they were glowing red. Then, while he slept, we crept toward him and drove the red-hot skewers deep into his eyes. The creature let out a scream so terrifying that our bodies trembled with fear. Blind and enraged, searching for us as we scattered in every direction. Though he could no longer see, we were still terrified of him. After that, the black giant began searching the palace for the door. When he finally found it, he stormed outside, roaring so loudly that the ground itself trembled beneath us. We rushed out of the palace too, only to see him returning, this time with his mate. She was even larger and more hideous than he was. The sight of them together struck terror into our hearts. We were so overwhelmed with fear that we felt death was near. Without wasting a moment, we ran toward the makeshift boat we had built. We climbed aboard and pushed it into the sea. But the black giant and his monstrous companion began hurling massive stones at us. One by one, the merchants and sailors were struck down, until only I remained. Floating alone on the planks we had tied together, I drifted across the waves. Then, in the distance, I spotted a ship. I cried out to its crew, and they saw me. They came toward me and pulled me aboard. I journeyed with them, visiting many cities, until we reached Basra. From there, I returned to my beloved city of Baghdad. Friends, was the tale of my 3rd voyage. So, what did you think of the story? Stay tuned to find out what thrilling adventures await Sinbad the sailor in his 4th voyage. Don't forget to subscribe to my page and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when the next story drops. And so, Sinbad survived once again, while many of his companions met a tragic fate. This voyage taught him a lesson that echoed far beyond the sea: life is fragile. And fortune can change in the blink of an eye. The greedy giant who devoured men was a symbol of blind hunger, while the merchants who built the ship together showed the power of unity. Yet even unity is not enough when fear and despair take over. Sinbad realized that courage, wisdom, and faith are the true sails that carry a person through the storms of destiny. He mourned the loss of his friends, but he also carried their memory as a reminder that every choice matters. Sometimes survival depends not only on strength, but on patience, on cleverness, and on the will to never give up. Dear listener, remember this: the world is full of dangers and temptations, but it is also full of hope. Like Sinbad, you may face giants that seem impossible to defeat, or storms that threaten to sink your ship. But if you hold on to courage, if you trust in your mind and your heart, you will find a way to sail forward. This was the third voyage of Sinbad the Sailor. A tale of loss and survival, of fear and wisdom. And though the sea took many lives, it gave Sinbad a gift. The knowledge that true strength lies not in escaping danger, but in learning from it, and in carrying its lessons into the journeys ahead. And so, Sinbad's journey continues, but the lessons of this voyage will never be forgotten.